Vulpix and Corona Pack 2. So we were on chapter 65, and if you want to follow along, which I really do highly recommend, and that way it's easy to leave a review. You don't have to have an account. It just means the author can't respond back. That is all. So, link to the chapter will be in the description below as always. Now let's get started. Chapter 65, Night 2, Take 3. The evening before the second night, the inhabitants of the building were waiting for Reed to arrive. The same fear they felt the night before was building again, as they wondered what would happen during this shift. The unexpected guests didn't help matters. I see the company still has no sense of design. The place still looks like crap. Heads turned in shock towards the new voice that broke through their anxious thoughts. There was a quiet gasp, and the ghost who'd been buzzing Hebe much to the bot's discomfort suddenly disappeared. Hebe herself froze, her hands hovering over the wiring of one of Mengel's legs. She didn't look up at the voice, already knowing who it was. Long past memories of that voice just as clear as the present. Instead, her eyes darted to Jeremy across the table from her. He was stiff, looking up from a tablet she had let him borrow with equal parts curiosity and rage. She felt Mangle gently grab her wrist, the bot trembling just slightly, but still wanting to comfort her friend. The originals and toys both wore similar expressions of shock, though the toys looked more fearful. The originals leaned more towards anger. Goldie was nowhere to be found, having sensed him moments before he walked in. Apparently, she had better senses than the children. Springtrap grinned at them from the doorway, pleased his entrance had garnered such a strong reaction. He whistled. You're all still functioning. I'm impressed. Though, looking at me, I really shouldn't be. His red eyes scanned the room with unconcerned ease. Gods love this supernatural building, right? Leave. Freddy shook off his shock and stood abruptly, his voice deeper than normal. It gave the humans their chills, and Jeremy remembered why he didn't like them. You can't be here. That wasn't part of the deal. Freddy! The rabbit greeted him as if the bear was an old friend, still grinning in amusement, not at all threatened by the robot staring him down. Looking good. Your suit's not faded at all. Did you dye your fur or is that blood? Dry blood seems a nice brown color, don't you think? Leave, Freddy growled again. Foxy had stood up as well, now to back the bear. His shock had given way to fury, but he stayed in place and fell for glaring at the yellow rabbit. Springtrap's grin took on a more sinister appearance. Make me, you hunk of junk, he growled, his wide smile belling with threatening tone as his eyes drifted to the feeding spot. Freddy glared at him for several seconds before the rabbit abruptly laughed, making a few of them cringe. That girl in skills says as long as I don't have my fun with any of you, I can basically go wherever I want. I just can't ignore here, and she can't use this area to hide, he smirked knowingly. And you can't do anything about that. So, he clapped his hands and rubbed them together excitedly. Are you going to introduce yourself? I see new faces. His eyes drifted to the two humans in the room who previously thought he hadn't even noticed them. Jeremy and he remained silent, even as Mangle hissed and the other toys shifted. Springtrap noticed. Ooh, detective couple of adults, are we? He eyed Puppet's box knowingly, though the slender old robot didn't show himself. Strange enough, the killer didn't call the oldest robot out, although he did look very smug about something. Toby tried to retort. You leave them alone. He winced as the threat fell flat and Teddy glared at him. Phoebe was hiding behind him, whimpering softly. Springtrap stuff. Pathetic. Though I am curious. Why would you care? He cut off his words as he actually looked at the man and the young woman. Jeremy's expression stayed the same as that inhuman piece of filth studied his face. Springtrap's eyes went up and down, taking in the man's appearance carefully. He didn't even look at Hebe. After a long pause, he made a strange noise, and it took them a second to realize he was snickering. Jeremy? He cracked up, shocking them all girls? What dragged you back into this hellhole? Springtrap howled in laughter. I thought you died. He brushed past Freddy to stand in front of the humans to get a better look, ignoring the bots that stood up as he got too close. Maggie was still sitting on the table and growled at him as he studied Jeremy like she wasn't inches away from him. Jeremy's face darkened. Part of him was horrified at the familiar tone the rabbit was using. Do I know you? Springtrap laughed harder and didn't answer. You were planning to go into the military after school, weren't you? How'd that work out? Wait, don't tell me. He waved his hands in a backtrack fashion. Did you flunk out? Did you get a background check and they decided you were too crazy to keep around? I bet Wellbats tried to kill me was a hard sell. Jeremy stared, clearly disturbed that the murderer knew so much about him. He racked his brains trying to think of who would know all that. But Springtrap's next words made him pause. How's your little sister? Springtrap asked, his gleeful tone twisting as his fake joking smile turned genuine with eagerness. Everyone else different and tried not to give Phoebe away with their glances. The originals glanced at each other and the clock. He timed it perfectly. Ruby wouldn't be there for quite a while still. Petey had been coming earlier to get in extra repair sessions in Mangles. Poor kid. After everything that happened, he said with a mocking undertone, I heard she got hit by a car. Never learned if she survived, though. Did she? I hope she did. He paused as if disappointed. It would be really annoying if the stupid car took that away from me. He's drugged. Little brat probably stepped out into traffic on purpose. Wouldn't blame her. You bastard! Jeremy snarled, surging to his feet. Frankly, the animatronics couldn't even find themselves bothered by the swearing for once. Ooh, finally some reaction, Springtrap said. I was starting to think you didn't care about her anymore. I mean, you didn't seem to before. How many times did she try to get you to help her find the secret playroom? Jeremy Steve glaring daggers. Abruptly, he grabbed one of Huey's wrenches that was sitting on the table. Jeremy! He and a few of the bots, notably Freddy and Mangles, threw a static screech trying to warn him. He really did try to strike the guy, but a mounting tremor shook the building, making them all stumble. Jeremy tripped and went down, falling over the table and on one of Mangles' legs as his strike swung wide and the wrench flew through the air. Mangles' metal knees knocked the breath out of him, leaving him gasping. Katie jerked her head to the side, the wrench swishing by her ear, where her head was a moment ago, and clattering across the linoleum floor. Max squeaked in fear and stopped wearing its Springtrap to check Katie's brother worriedly. Idiot. Puppet's muffled voice drifted from his enclosed box. Careful, Jeremy, Springtrap sing-song. I don't think the building cares if you hurt Wiggy, accident or not. Sickened concern coloring his amusement at the building protecting him. Hello, Hedwig, he said, turning his head and greeting the girl, revealing he knew it was her the whole time. Katie glanced up at him silently of her brother's frazzled body as he lay draped over the table between her and her demon, trying to catch his breath. Springtrap leaned in and over Jeremy as the man struggled to get up without slipping off the table. I hit you, he frightened at her reaction. I wasn't sure if I heard right when the night guard mentioned that he'd be working as the resident mechanic. He tilted his head, almost friendly-like. Long time no see, kiddo. Damn, you really grew up. They all bristled. Creep. Freddy watched carefully, his eyes staring to Hebe. Jeremy shoved the murderer back with his shoulder as he finally stood back up, the brushing action not counting as an attack to the building. Stay back, he coughed, still a little breathless. Springtrap's red eyelight flashed to Hebe's legs in her chair, ignoring Jeremy. The wheelchair for you. I knew you wouldn't be able to stay away for long. He leaned a little closer, smiling as his voice dipped lower. He laughed. Guess you were smart enough to not come back as the night guard, like your stupid uncle. Damn, that would have been awkward, and a pathetically short run. He narrowed her eyes. Suddenly, Springtrap's eyes shifted to a spot just behind Phoebe's chair. He followed his gaze and looked to her side, jumping slightly at the icy ceiling at her elbow. One of the kids hadn't left. He half hid behind Phoebe's chair, his faint translucent form only noticeable when he moved just slightly. He was glaring at Springtrap in a mix of dry rage and fear, the emotions apparently distracting him from staying entirely invisible. The original stiffened, Bonnie in particular. Springtrap smiled as he leaned, uncaring that he was very close to Mangle's claws. There you are. Where have you kids been hiding, huh? Not like there's many places to go. Which one are you? Springtrap mused, mostly to himself. I don't always bother with names. Places, though. He started. All right, you were the one that cried for your mommy. The first time in more than a decade, the original saw a flash of terror and sorrow on its ghost's face, the mask of anger dropping for the shortest of moments. A light flickered above them, blinding as it got brighter, making the others worry it was going to shatter. Springtrap didn't glance up at the thing, so he definitely noticed. His smile twitched. Katie's eyes stared at the murderer in cold hatred, but she didn't sneer or frown, the rest of her face carefully blank. The kid beside her seemed almost human, but the moment was gone as soon as it came, and his face twisted into a murderous glare. The light dimmed, still flickering slightly. Or are you the one that tried to bite me? That was hilarious. Benji, don't respond, Edie said coldly as she noticed the light settle, without looking away from the decrepit animatronic. She speaks! Tell me, Wiki, is it phone guy that convinced you, or did you decide to follow in your old man's footsteps for this job? Springtrap decided some of the bots. Springtrap noticed some of the bots look at Edie with surprise, noticeably Bonnie, whose face was one of horror and bad memories. What's the matter, Bon Bon? You know their old man was the one responsible for that great facelift of yours? Bonnie shrank back as Toby went, half expecting Ruby to come flying to the door with her bat, despite the fact that it wasn't him bringing up Bonnie's face this time. He hadn't even done that in a while. Enough dents reminded him not to. Foxy made a strange clicking noise as his ended teeth snapped closed without his main face moving. It was similar to a human grinding their teeth. Chica shot Springtrap a withering glare into Bonnie's arm. Springtrap looked up at a metallic rattling sound, noticing how the other robots in the room were standing closer, staring at him angrily. The rattle came from the pink and white fox. Well, he said with a dark chuckle, better get ready for tonight. I hope you all haven't gotten too used to how nice things are with that girlie around. Jeremy seized, but no one said anything until footsteps had long since faded away. Goldie appeared, looking like she had been crying again, but no one called her out on it. They were all disturbed to see Spring like that. He was way too focused on you, Edie, Sharon muttered, while Freddie nodded in agreement. They all ignored the ghost, not sure how to react to him. Foxy had moved to stand next to Bonnie again and was talking quietly to him. Benji watched them all silently, not moving from his spot next to Edie. He basically ignored us, Toby mentioned. She glared at him. Don't tell me you're jealous. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would I be jealous? Toby snapped, insulted that she was saying he wanted attention from that evil jerk. He was testing us, he said, looking for what buttons he can push, what he can torture us with without breaking the rules. He turned back around and gestured for Mangle to get off the table. You okay? Mangle sighed. I will be when 6 hits. He glanced at Benji. What did you say? The room tensed, mostly because of the originals. None of the ghost children had broken off from the main group before. The ghost was silent, mildly surprised she was even speaking to him. I don't know, he said eventually, shrugging. No one said anything in response. You should go to the others, he finally said. Benji looked toward the door to the hallway for a couple of seconds, as if listening to something. Abruptly, he sneered and shook his little head. Nah, Jenny's mad I stayed. She's just going to complain all night. Jeremy stared. Where'd they go? He said hesitantly. It didn't feel like talking to a little kid. He remembered Benji as a really funny little boy. Shy, smart, stuck to Frederick and Edie like glue in particular, while Felix always dragged him into trouble. This ghost felt more like an angry echo of Murr's shadow. The kid glared at Jeremy hatefully and didn't answer. He snapped her fingers to get his attention. Benjamin! The ghost glanced at her. Fred's hiding in the generator. Cheryl and Ginny are staying some heads in the parts room. Felix in the light. He shot a glare at the ceiling. You are a lot of help. A different set of lights flickered almost ignorantly in the spot. He looked at him silently for what felt like a minute. Don't mess with anyone, or don't be a jerk to the bots, and don't mention killing Ruby or any other night guard a single time, and you can stay and watch cartoons on my own computer. Bonnie whimpered, and the bots shared a worried glance. Foxy glared venomously at her. Benji looked like he was about to argue with Miss TV, but she interrupted. More Scooby-Doo episodes have come out in the past few years. The main comment died on his incorporeal tongue, and for once he looked conflicted. He didn't wait for an answer and quickly set up the spot in the furthest corner of the room away from the box as they quietly watched. Foxy switching between glaring at Edie and watching Bonnie carefully. Benji hesitated before he followed curiously. I'm serious, Edie said to the ghost kid sternly as everything was set up. You even mentioned the word night guard once, then I'm getting the salt. Understand? I don't need to do anything you say. You can't boss me around. Uh-huh. Why's that? We don't. He trailed off, not actually having an answer, and he knew it. He glared at her. I'm 3 months older than you. He blinked at him. You've gotten yourself mixed up, Benji. You're a year younger than me. Felix is 3 months older. He seemed taken back. Huh. The lights flickered sharply, making Freddy think they were going to shatter, and the ghost that used to set the Foxy suddenly appeared next to Petey and the other ghost. I told you so. Benji glared at him. Shut up. Felix grinned maliciously. Make me. Both of you, stop it, Petey ordered. You both can stay along with any of the others. You don't harass anyone. Clear? What's the night guard's annoying? Benji asked mockingly. She's the measure. If you do something to anger her, I'm not going to stop her from driving you out. She's got enough to deal with at the moment without you being difficult. Well, what if we do follow your rules? Then you stay, and I'll explain to Ruby. Then she can be mad at me all she wants. Are we making a deal? Felix asked, a grin spreading on his face as he cocked his head. I'm not resorting to a deal, he said warmly. What you gonna do to make us listen then? We don't have to. No, you don't. But I'm hoping you actually still care what I think. We're really friends. The two boys actually looked surprised. Of course we're friends, Benji said, surprising all the bots. Then act like it, Petey whispered harshly. Oh, you're still mad about Mr. Scott, are you? Felix rolled his eyes. The toys glanced at each other nervously. Teddy shot a cautious glance at the already uncomfortable originals. Petey glared at the ghost. Get out. What? What did I just say? What were the rules? Petey snapped. I didn't talk about killing him, Felix said indignantly. I was just asking. Out! To everyone's utter surprise, Felix didn't keep arguing or petulantly refused to leave. He grabbed Edie and disappeared. Benji didn't look like he cared too much, though he did stare at the spot where Felix was a moment ago for several seconds. He better actually be gone, he warned. Benji shrugged and nodded. I want to watch Scooby-Doo now. He wordlessly got the video playing and rolled away when the ghost was situated, staring at the screen in intense concentration and dare to say it interest. What are you doing, mechanic? Foxy snarled under his breath, a hiss much like Mangle's in his throat. She was quiet for a long time as she got to the group. She glanced back, making sure the ghost wasn't listening. Her eyes flashed to Foxy. I'm scared, she said it quietly. They were quiet for a really long time. He's the one who... Bonnie vaguely pointed at himself in his head, unable to make words form at the moment. He still didn't make eye contact with TV. He nodded quickly, apologetically. I know. I don't know. She blurted out inspiration. I'm making those up as I go, okay? Making what up? Freddie murmured, watching Foxy worriedly. The fox was easier to work out with all this stress over Ruby. Those breaths. Foxy seized. McKenna, you didn't even... Jeremy stiffened at the mouth in Foxy's voice. scooting a little closer to his sister. What Foxy is trying to say, Freddie interrupted, is that we understand you want to help them. You you have that right. You were there. You were friends. We frowned at him, wondering if the originals had discussed her, ghosts, and murderers in private. Probably. But they aren't Freddie paused. Katie, they're not children. Not anymore. We can't even see them that way. And we're made to recognize and be friends with kids, Speaker added. Yes, that, Freddie nodded. But we can't even do that anymore with them. Haven't for a very long time, ever since they made us. He trailed off. Kill people, Phoebe said bluntly. Poof. The original flinched and toys wanted to take a step backwards. My point is, we never wanted to hurt anyone. The toys were manipulated because they didn't know it better. Teddy opened his mouth to argue, but froze and backtracked, stepping on Toby's foot when it looked like the rabbit was about to say something stupid. Again. But the children, the puppet really, they don't deserve your pity, Foxy snapped at Heaney, his prior accent growing thicker as he got more worked up. Nagel glared at Foxy as Foxy stepped closer to yell at her friend. He didn't look like he wanted to hurt her, though. His eyes were lit with frustration and betrayal behind the anger, and it was pretty easy to tell he was angry with the situation more than with Heaney. Probably not, he admitted softly, glancing at Benji, who glanced up at Foxy's yell, but merely grinned and looked down again. He could guess what they were talking about. He was quiet for a long time. She shook her head. Look, I know you're upset. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I understand how souls and ghosts work or anything like that. But to me, they seem like only a bundle of pain and misery and anger completely disconnected from their humanity. Just, she sighed and looked up questioningly. It might be lost, but they are my friends. Let me try to get through to them, she begged. It's not going to work, Bonnie said softly, fearfully. I have to try. Freddie stared at her for a moment. Suddenly he grunted. Ruby's gonna be mad. Mad about what? Ruby's super happy voice chirped, but her scary expression sent Toby running at first glance, even though it wasn't directed at him. Ah, frick. Petey muttered, while Chief Squirrel and Sprite, still on edge since Springtrap left. Ruby glared and dropped her bag off into a chair, glancing at the clock. You actually got here before me? Her eyes darted to the ghost in the back, too engrossed in his cartoon to even notice her for once. Her expression darkened immediately and she looked ready to explode. It took Petey almost until their shift started to convince Ruby to ignore the ghost, at least for tonight. That brat messes with any of my thoughts, Petey, and there will be hell to pay, she hissed the mechanic a few minutes before she had to be in faster fright. He nodded, still keeping a hold of the salt that Ruby had produced from nowhere. The night guards glared at her again before telling the originals that she'd see them after her shift. She grumbled about gross all the way to the second office. Ruby had just sat down and picked up the tablet when the chimes went off and the phone rang. Hello? The familiar greeting echoed in the room. Hello, Steve. Your niece is annoyingly nice to the stupid ghost brat. For today's lesson, we'll be continuing our training on proper suit handling techniques. Sounds fun. She started checking the cameras, looking for Springtrap. When using an animatronic as a suit, please ensure that the animatronic parts are tightly compressed and fastened by the spring lock, located around the inside of the suit. It may take a few moments to position your head and torso between these parts in a manner where you can move and speak. Try not to nudge or press against any of the spring locks inside the suit. Do not touch the spring locks at any time. Do not breathe on the spring locks as moisture remains loose in them and cause them to break loose. In the case of the spring locks come loose while you are wearing the suit, please try to maneuver away from populated areas before breathing out as not to ruin the customer's experience. Ruby snorted. Seriously? Just seriously? As always, if there is ever an emergency, please note there is a designated safe room. Every location is built with one extra room that is not included in the digital map layout programmed in the animatronics or security system. This room is hidden to customers, invisible to animatronics, and is always off camera. Ruby looked up in interest. Invisible to the boss? don't want to hear. They better not have. This is their home. As always, remember to smile. You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Yeah, positivity and all that. You two are forever the optimistic. Ruby sighed as she found the creepy killer on the tablet. Well, time to get to work. Got a lot of irritation to work off now. Those rats bothering my boss. Hey, I wonder if he inherited your optimism. Optimism. And that's the end of chapter 65. So, hope you enjoyed. This chapter was a lot longer. It was mainly Ruby and the box and that. Uh, not Ruby, sorry, Heidi. It's mostly Heidi we thought. So, hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, go leave a comment. Leave a review, sorry. We're done here. I don't want comments. I want you to go show the author some love because they wrote this. They deserve love. Go. We're done here. But before you go, be sure to subscribe. I'll upload new videos every Friday and Saturday. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the next chapter of Meaning of the Mind.